I have about 30 seconds, and I have this guy Ned Ryun coming up. But go ahead.
No problem. When I was first employed here in Utica, while I was going to Utica College, that was my place of employment, and they had a beautiful pool. I was a night auditor down there, and I was there from like September through June, and it was a beautiful little place.
And the pool was right out on Oriskany Street. Is that correct?
It sure was, along with the motel.
With a little motel. So that was, that's where that parking lot is. It's like the loading dock, if you will, on the backside of the Hotel Utica right there. So
I don't understand. So there was
nice
a motel
place, and a lot of nice people, and like I said.
All right, cool. Would you like to see a pool come back there? I think I would.
I would like to see any kind of pool or water come into Utica.
Water's big. It's big when you live where we live. So.
Well, wait till you see the storms this afternoon.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, any help you need, I except for digging one.
Okay, Dennis, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Okay, GLP versus FBI and the Clinton fallout. He is a former political speechwriter, presidential writer for George W. Bush. Ned Ryun on the line here this morning. Ned, good morning. What are you? What's the takeaway here?
Well, good morning. So, Comey makes his statement Tuesday about the Clinton email situation, and he spent the whole time basically laying out. She sends classified emails. She claims she had sent everything to us. In fact, she hadn't. She was extremely careless in handling of classified information. Any reasonable person would have known not to do this, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, by the way, no reasonable prosecutor would actually pursue this.
Yeah.
We're done. Well, the House Oversight Committee said not so fast, so they've called him in today. So 2 days after he makes this statement, Comey's appearing before the House Oversight Committee to basically give more details. They want to have more answers. They want to have a better understanding of. You went through this whole litany of mishandled, careless, any reasonable person. Explain to us again the depth of the investigation, what actually took place. Let's just put it this way. Having been around D.C. long enough, did I think there was going to be an indictment? No, probably not.
Right.
I certainly didn't think it'd be prosecuted. But he basically lays out in his statement a reason for that something being pursued, and then for him to say nothing will be pursued. I think what the House Republicans really want to see is we want a deeper, longer conversation. We want the American people to fully understand what has taken place here, because there will be no indictment, no prosecution. This is going to the court of public opinion, and ultimately, at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton will face the voters in November, and they're going to have to decide, is this something serious enough to prevent her from being president of the United States?
I heard Rudy Giuliani yesterday laying out a case and explaining negligence and not being responsible for what your job is. The fact that she didn't intentionally do it is irrelevant. Can you weigh in on that?
Here's the thing. I've told people she's either lying or she's completely incompetent.
Well, I think that's interesting. What Comey really came out and said is, you're an idiot. I hate to say this, but that's what he said.
No, she did.
Yeah.
He did, because he clearly states, he puts in this statement, clearly marked emails that any reasonable person should have known not to have on an unclassified system. It's no place for this conversation. I mean, he basically calls her out and says, you're incompetent.
Yes.
You're careless. Any intelligent person would have known not to do this. And again, it's one of these things where you just go through and say, she's either a liar or she's completely incompetent, neither which are are strong arguments for her taking the next step up to be president of the United States.
This is very damning. And you're not going to move. I don't think you're going to move the people that are against her and the people that are for her. They're already
This is about
set.
the independent voters.
Correct. This is the middle.
This is about the middle, and there has been enough polls done in regards to this specific topic of Hillary Clinton and her emails and her private servers that it does have an impact on independent voters. And the question is, are enough independent voters going to at least understand on some level what took place? And the thing I like to remind people is during the Obama administration, there have been 7 similar cases to this. 5 of them resulted in jail time.
Yeah.
And so this is something that should have probably resulted in something else. We'll see what the American people have to say about it in November.
Andrew.
So the big question I have is, do you think that his comments or his statements regarding any, when he says any reasonable person would have not shared this information, and you kind of see his subtle dig at her. Is this and there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there, so I'm just kind of appealing to them.
Right.
Is there some kind of maybe hidden, maybe his way of saying, I don't agree with this, and I've been pressured to do this, so I'm going to take every opportunity I can to get my point across without letting on too much?
Of course, you don't want to say that the director of the FBI was pressured into doing something.
Well, and he opened up by saying he wasn't.
Right, exactly, and that his arm was twisted. But it was a very striking statement to me as he spent a considerable amount of time laying out this whole litany of things that went wrong with Clinton and her team and their handling of classified emails and private servers, et cetera, and then said, oh, by the way, we're not going to prosecute. I don't want to read too much into it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know if we'll ever know why they didn't ultimately pursue these things. Again, I think there was enough evidence laid out that it could have been pursued. They chose not to. I don't want to say that he was pressured, but at the same time, boy, he put out a lot of information that, again, was very damning for her.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
I explained to somebody the other day, she might have won this battle, but this to her is just a battle. The ultimate war for her, she wants the White House. Does this ultimately cause her the White House? We'll find out in November.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, when was the last time you saw an election where the majority of the people say, boy, I just don't like the Republican, but I could not ever handle the Democrat? And you have Democrats saying the same thing. We are all voting for somebody in November that we don't like, it seems, when you look at the negatives.
This is kind of a race to the bottom where you have two candidates with very, very high unfavorable ratings. I mean, this is ultimately going to come down. Listen, there's certain people that are always going to vote Republican. There's certain people that are always going to vote Democrat. It doesn't matter. I mean, Trump could do an act of violence in Times Square. People are still going to vote for him. Hillary could basically give away state secrets to China. They're still going to vote for her. This is about the independent voters, and are there going to be certain things that are going to impact them one way or the other to vote either for Trump or for Hillary, or are they just going to stay home? This is a highly unusual presidential election. I do think it's going to be a very interesting the next few months.
Yeah.
Come down to the independent vote, and it's also going to come down to, can Trump turn out his base? Can Hillary turn out her base? And then ultimately, which way are the independents going to go, Trump or Clinton? This is, I mean, again, not to beat a dead horse, this is shown to be an issue with independent voters. And if the House Republicans keep beating on this drum and the American people really starts to sink in with them what actually took place, this could have an impact. I think it could have a decent, significant impact on November.
All right. Ned Ryun, former G.W. Bush presidential writer. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Got a break. Hold on. We'll get into the Word of Life trial. I want to take what we've taken away from the Sarah Ferguson trial. Of course, found guilty on manslaughter charges. The Observer-Dispatch reporter that covered the trial, Michaela Parker, is coming up next in studio at 7:19. Coming right back at WIBX.